This is the fifth video on the track tools inside 12D model. In this session we're going to be looking at chainage equalities. Now chainage equalities enable us to put a secondary set of chainages along a track. Chainage equalities are fairly common on track detailing. There may be many reasons for having them in there. Common ones would be that you have slightly realigned a track and you want to tie back your chainages to what you had before, as all the signaling and signages associated with those. Alternatively, you may have a parallel trap going in and you want to have matching chainages along that parallel piece of track. It's important to understand that the chainage equalities give you, if you like, a second tier of chainages along the string. In other words, you will always have the raw or real chainage of the string embedded in the string, and all that we're doing by putting chainage equations or equalities onto that string is to fool the display into showing us different chainages along that string. This of course then means that we will have to use a couple of tools later on to see exactly which one is the raw chainage and which one is the equality chainage. The first thing we need to understand is that by default with an alignment string, chainage equalities are not switched on, so we need to make sure that we enable them. To do so, we're going to come in here. I'm going to go and edit the super alignment string, then coming down to the icon for the parts editors, if we just hold our mouse button down on that, come down to the fourth icon down, which is the chainage equalities editor. When we come into there, you'll see at the moment we aren't able to do anything. If we try and pick or add anything like that, nothing will happen. So what we need to do is we need to come across to the Properties tab, come down to the Equality option in the Advanced mode, and tick on Use Chainage Equalities, set that, and finish. Now if we go back to that fourth icon down, come down to the Chainage Equalities tab, you'll see now we have an icon in here which says Equalities, and we can go and pick on that, insert a new equality. As far as the types of equalities go, there are four different types. So the first option we have is a K-post by coordinate, where we will actually go and pick a coordinate. For instance, we'll pick this known K-post here. It'll choose that coordinate and set the equality chainages relative to that. So we'll choose the K-post coordinate. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we'll give it a prefix, which the name will be 4KM, which, as I was starting to say, will be a prefix in front of the numeric value. We'll then come down and pick on the XY button here, select the insertion point of that K-post peg, and we'll hit set. Now it's important to realize that anytime you set any chainage equality, you must do a redraw to be able to see the text coming in. So you can see over here we've got 4 kilometers 000, and over here it's 4,000.00 equals 4 kilometers. Over to the right here you can see we've got 4 kilometers 100. The next type of equality that we're going to put in is going to be an internal equality. So what we're going to do here is we'll go and add an equality by picking on the insert button. We'll go and choose our type. We'll get the internal equality. We're going to go and do a right mouse button pick on the measure button here. We're going to go and get string from point. We'll come out and get the chainage of our super alignment string. We're then going to wander along until we get to the marker that's the 4.5 kilometer post. So that'll be this one over here. And then what we're going to do is we will go and pick the post itself, the insertion point of that post. That gives us the chainage up here. What we're going to do is we're going to knock out the 4,000, so it just comes down to the 497, and then that will equate to our new 500. When we hit set, remember we need to do a redraw, and there's our new equality there showing us that we've got 4 kilometer, which is 4 kilometers 497.311 is equivalent to the 4 kilometers 500 meters. We're again going to go and put in, for our third one, a K-post coordinate. So we'll go to insert, we'll choose our type as a K-post coordinate. We'll put the name in here again, which remember is your prefix to the numeric. That's going to be 5 km. We're then going to go and pick on the coordinate for the 5 kilometer post. So we'll pick on the XY button here. We'll zoom along until we get the 5 kilometer post, which is in here. We pick the insertion point of that, hit set. Again, our redraw gives us our new chainage along there, and that's showing us that we've got 4 kilometers 1000.747 is now equivalent to the 5 kilometer mark. For the fourth equality, what we're actually going to do is we're going to initially start off with a K-post, but then we'll actually change it to an internal equality. The reason we're going to do that is we'll let 12D calculate the true chainage for us at a known point, and then we can easily override that. So we'll add our new option. Again, we pick on the insert. To start with, as I said, this is going to be a K-post coordinate. We'll put X in here for the moment, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go and find the surveyed 5.5 kilometer post. So again, we're picking on the XY here. We'll come along here until we find the 5.5 kilometer post. Now again, it doesn't matter whether we pick it on one side or the other, they should be exactly the same chainage back to the string there. When we go and hit set on that, it shows us that the post here is at 499.609. So what we're going to do now is change this option from being a K-post coordinate. We're going to make that an internal equality. The before is going to be the 499.609, and the after is going to be 500, because that's obviously the half kilometer mark there. We go and hit set on that, and a redraw will now show us that 5 kilometers 499 point blah 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 is equivalent to 5 kilometers 500. Now one last thing on that one before we move and put the next equality in. You'll notice that when I first started that off and we were using a K-post coordinate, I put an X in there. The reason for that is because if you don't have a name, which of course, as we said, becomes a prefix for the numeric value, in the K-post chainage or K-post coordinate, when you go and hit set, without that name in there, you won't actually see your text update. So there's a little trap there you need to be aware of, that you do need to have a name in there. I'll put X in purely as it was going to be replaced by our known chainage after we've done that. Okay, so we'll now go and put one last chainage equality in here, and this is actually going to occur down around about the 6 kilometer mark. And what's happening there is that by the time we get to 6 kilometers with our amended alignment, we'll be back on the original chainages of that railway line. So we'll go and pick on our insert. We'll put a new one in there, which is going to be a K-post coordinate again. We'll put the name in there of 6km, and then we're going to go and pick, using the XY button here, we'll go along and find the 6 kilometer post on the railway line. So here it is. we pick the 6 kilometer post, hit set. When we do our redraw over here, we've now set our kilometers back to the original reference chainage along there. There is one other type of equality which I haven't shown here, and that is the K-post relative. Now the K-post relative defines a K-post chainage relative to a previous K-post or internal equality. So it's not one that's all that often used, but it basically gives a small override within an area that's already been given some equalities. So just to finish up this session on chainage equalities, I wanted to bring up a couple of things. First of all, as far as the labeling goes, a couple of little things that are happening in here. When we come in and we've put in a chainage equality, you'll notice that on the points where I've actually made some form of equality, I end up with both yellow and white text. What that's saying is the chainage along the string, this is still an equality chainage, is 4,000 meters, which is your 4 kilometers, and this then is saying that the equation that occurs there is 4,000 meters is now equivalent to 4 kilometers. So the yellow and white text denote that there is actually a change of chainage there. Again, the colors of yellow and white are purely based on the superalignment style that you've got at the time. You can change the colors of those, the size of the text and the font, etc. We come along here, then we've just got the yellow text, so that's saying that the chainage at that point using the chainage equalities is 4 kilometers and 50 meters. Because there's no white text in there, it means that there's no change to the chainage by having an equality in there. So that'll happen all the way along. Whenever we get the extra bit of text in there, the white one is saying that's the point where an equality has been placed. So we'll finish on that panel for the moment, and then I just wanted to run through two tools that we'd have in here, which would be to check chainages and chainage equalities on the track toolbar. I'll start with the chainage from an equality. When I go and pick on this, I go and select my super alignment. I'll actually just use the same point for both of these options, so I'll use a point snap to that point there, and when I accept that, what that does is it comes up and tells me that I am using a chainage from an equality here. The K-post name is 5 kilometers, the chainage from that point is 270, etc. Down here it actually gives me the natural chainage, so that is, if you like, the real or raw chainage at that point, and then it's telling me how much further on from that point that occurs. So that was the first of those two options. That was this one here where we had the chainage from an equality. The other one we've got is equality from a chainage, which gives us a very similar result. What I'm going to do is go and pick the same string at the same point, so we can compare both these panels. And there it is in there. This one now tells us that the natural chainage is at 5268.561, and grayed out below that it actually gives us the K-post name and the equality variation that's occurred from that point. So those two there are both options that you will use from time to time, and you can also get those from strings, super alignment tools, and there they live down there, so we can go and get them from the pull down menu.